have my dragster all assembled, the next thing I want to do is put it onto my title block and border. So this video is about putting it onto your title block and border, so that's what I'm going to start. I'm going to go to File, Open. I want to go and find my default border that I made right at the beginning of our time together. I want to open it up. And sometimes it takes a little while to load. And then the next thing I notice is, geez, I have my super glider there, and the date would be wrong. So to edit this, all I'm going to do is go to Mr. A Border, right click, Edit Definition. Next thing all I'm going to do is double click on what I want to change. And this is no longer my super glider, this is now my dragster. And then click OK. Finish sketch, and ask if I want to save the edits. Yes, I do. So now I have my title block and everything set up for my dragster project. Next thing, go to Base, and I want to bring my dragster in. I want it to be full scale. I want to bring the top view in. This is our orthographic. So at the orthographic, I have my front view, top view, right hand side, and then what I can also do is bring in my isometric and right click and say OK. Now the first thing I want to do, I notice that isometric is way too big. Not only that, but it's not in color. We want it in color. So to edit this isometric, I hover until I get the red box around the isometric. I right click, edit my view. I want it to be first off colored, and then I'm going to scale this down to 3/4 scale. So I'm just going to put in 0.75 and then click OK. And then I can just drag it down a little bit, make sure that it's on our title block and our border. It's within the borders here, so I'm good. Next thing I want to do is, I know that I made an engine compartment. I know I drilled holes through the body. So what I want to do is I want to get our hidden lines in place. So to do that, I go to my front view, edit view, and then I select hidden lines and click OK. So now I can see my engine compartment. I can see where I drilled the axle holes and stuff. After we have this, the next thing we want to do is get this drawing set up for dimensioning. We want to make sure that we're meeting all of our constraints. So to do that, I go to Annotate. Anytime we have a circle, we want to locate the center point of the circle. The way that we do that is with this tool here. It's called the Center Mark tool. So any circle that I see, I want to dimension. Well, I'm going to dimension the biggest circle, the outside of my wheel. And that's going to be the same center for my axle, the same center for the center of the wheel, and circle here. And I also have one here for my engine. And for some reason, it's not liking that. There it goes. All right, so I have a center mark on all the circles that I have. The next thing I want to do is, if I'm looking at my engine compartment here, I can't tell if that's rectangle or if it's circular. Well, it's circular. And what I want to do is I want to put a center line in. So I'm going to click this icon, center line bisector. The way that it works is that if you click the one side of your object and then the other side of the object, puts a center line in. And do the same thing up here. From this side, puts the center line in for you. That way we can tell the location of our engine compartment. Alright, I'm pretty good. I could do the axles and stuff like that, put the center lines in the axles, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's not going to be required. The next thing I do is go to dimension, and all of our dimensions are going to come from the back part of our dragster. Now we had some constraints that we talked about. Now the constraints was, the first one was, we wanted to make sure that the rear axle was between 3/4 and 1 inch from the back of the car. So I want to dimension from here to here. That's 1 inch, and click OK. Next thing I want to do is make sure that my engine compartments are proper depth. The depth of the engine compartment, we extruded that to 3 inches, and there it is. We also talked about our wheelbase. Our wheelbase, we want to be between 4 and 5.5 inches. Now this is saying mine's 6 inches. In reality, what it's saying is that the distance between the back of the car and this is 1 inch. The distance between the back of the car and the front wheel is 6 inches. So what we need to do is use the 6 minus the 1, and that gives me 5 inches. So my wheelbase is between 4 and 5.5 because mine is 5 inches. And then I want to have my overall width of my vehicle. And we said we wanted that between 6 and 7, and mine's at 7 inches. So I have the dimensions for my width also. Next thing I want to do is my height. So I'm going to click on this corner. All my dimensions are going to come right from this lowest corner of my body. I wanted to have a dimension between the bottom of the car and my axle. And what I want to do is place that. I want to have from the bottom of the car to the center of my engine compartment. I want to place that. And then I want to have the overall height. See if we can get it. And that was the maximum of 1.25 inches. And mine's at 1.1 inches. Okay. So I have my height, I have my width. The only other thing really that I need on my front view is I need to have a dimension for my wheels. So I have 4 wheels. Rather than dimensioning all 4 wheels, my wheel diameter is 1.25 inches. What I can do is I can just type in TYP for this wheel, because that means TYP is abbreviation for typical. That's saying the diameter of my wheels are 1.25 inches, and it's a typical wheel, so they all are 1.25 inches. Okay, so I have my height, I have my width. The only other thing I need to do is my depth. So my depth, we can start here. We said that the wheels, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to go to the inside just because of space. So I'll dimension from here to here. We extruded this to 3/16 of an inch. We had from my wheel to my engine compartment. And I had from my wheel to the opposite side of the body. And then I had my wheel to the opposite wheel. And, you know, it's good enough. Yeah, I missed a bunch of dimensions and stuff, but that should be fine. Okay, so we have our dragster on our title block and border. We have our dimensions, and we have our isometric. Hidden lines are showing, everything's good. The only other thing we want to do is we want to do a file, save as. We want to, make sure that we're not rewriting our default border. We want to save this as our dragster. And then I'm going to save it. And the last thing we want to do is go to File, Export. We want to change this to a PDF. And then this is called Dragster Practice. I want to save it. This is going to convert it to a PDF. And then the last thing we want to do is submit it on Edmodo. Okay, so there's my PDF, and we should be all set. All right, good luck.